Hello and welcome to Living Your Kick-Ass Life. I interview people who have stepped up their life and are living more of a kick-ass life so that you can learn some tools and skills to help you do the same. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's Kick-Ass Coach, psychologist, and the owner of Empowerment Coaching. And I'm kind of giggling because the number of technical difficulties we've had with this interview would suggest to me that it is going to be phenomenal. So if you can think of anybody who might benefit from hearing about living their kick-ass life, please share this video with them while we're live, and we'd love to answer any questions, etc. So right now I see that we have 3 people here. I'm just going to click, sorry for my finger in front of the camera, but I need to find my guest. There she is. Cool. And I'm going to add, welcome to Jerry and Marlo. Appreciate you tuning in. And also, I want to tell everyone, if you stay until the end, I'm going to be giving away a free audio CD, which is entitled Releasing Barriers to Success and Happiness. And it's one that I recorded a couple of years ago. Yay! Hello, Nicole.
Hi.
Great, we can even hear you. Fabulous. All right, this is working good. I was just sharing that we're having more additional technical difficulties. When I just hit the button to start the process, it actually said trying to reconnect, and I'm like, uh-oh. So we're going to set the intention that the internet access up here in the UP holds for the duration of our interview.
Yes.
Good. So again, I'd like to ask, if you know of anybody that you think might be interested in watching our video, please share it with them. We'd love to share information with them too. So my guest today is Nicole Wettemann, and she is a holistic life coach and catalyst for spiritual and personal transformation. That's a pretty powerful title. I like that.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. So,
yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm so glad it finally worked after all the little glitches we had. So
absolutely.
Yep. So can you tell the listeners, welcome. So glad you're here, Patrick. Can you tell our listeners a little bit of background about yourself, kind of your pre-kick-ass life scenario?
Yes, absolutely. So I got married fairly young, in my 20s. I suppose back then it wasn't so young, but now it kind of is.
Sounds very young, yes.
Got married in my 20s and lived a fairly charmed life. I mean, our marriage was good, raised 3 children. I worked in social work, did what I wanted to do, I thought. But underneath all of that, there was always this sense of not having a home, of not belonging. I would walk into social situations that would make me really uncomfortable, and I would always kind of feel like I was a fraud or an imposter. And even though I knew I felt those things, I could not, for the life of me, figure out why I was feeling those things.
Right. Well, and even to try to put words to that, I think, is difficult.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that homelessness, so because you're feeling this homelessness and this unsettledness, and so then of course you go to, it's the town. Maybe if I move, it's the house. Maybe if I get a different house, right?
Right.
So kind of went through that, and none of that really worked, and I spent a lot of nights crying, just feeling guilty and ungrateful for not liking a life I would think anybody would have liked.
Okay. And I think that is difficult when it seems like it's an idyllic existence and you're just not happy.
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened then?
And so then what happened is that in my early 40s, I ended up falling in love with a woman. And of course, for me, that was like light bulb, right? That's what I was missing. That's the missing link, right? So yeah, I was like, well, that's why I felt like an imposter. That's why I felt inauthentic. Well, this makes sense now, right?
Okay.
And so I did end up getting a divorce, and we had been married for 19 years, and it was hard, and made a life with this woman, and ultimately the relationship didn't last. And by the time the relationship ended, I was divorced. I didn't have my house anymore, and I lacked financial security. And
Wow.
at that point, that's when I realized, oh, wait a minute, this home was not in somebody else. What I was really lacking was a connection to myself.
Yeah.
And that's really when that spiritual journey and all of that really started opening up for me.
Wow. Wow. Well, I recently was talking about Dark Night of the Soul, and that seems like a whole series of dark nights that led you back to your true self.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, the night that she left and I was for the first time alone at night in, many, many years, I just absolutely broke down. I cried like I have probably not cried since I was a child. And kind of got to a place where I was like, okay, all the things that I associated my security with, my partner, previously my marriage, house, financial stuff, like I lost everything in that moment.
Yes.
And that's the dark night of the soul. And that is when I started doing the work and figuring this out. And yeah, that was my journey.
So talk about the work that you did. What was your personal path for growth that helped you get to the point where now you're saying, I am ready to help others?
Mm-hmm. So the way I went about it is that I started meditating, and I had always kind of meditated, on and off. And I was always one of those, I can't shut my mind off, therefore it's not going to work for me. But in that moment, what I really needed was to get out of my head. And so I started meditating and went to silent meditation retreats where we would spend hours a day sitting in silence, and started working with a coach. And we did a lot of inner child work, a lot of the
Wonderful.
authentic self versus conditioned self. And I just made it my mission. I just absolutely focused on that for 1 year.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, and I think there's several useful points to reiterate in there. One is coaches have coaches. In order
Absolutely.
for us, yes, in order for us to do our best work, there are always those who are supporting us to do so. And so what I would recommend to people who are considering using a coach, ask your potential coach who he or she has worked with in the past. And if they say, well, I've never coached with anyone, I would turn and run.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
I think the best coach to work with is someone who really has taken the time to do his or her own work. And it sounds like you invested a very focused year on that. And it probably continues to this day, I would guess.
Oh yeah, there's always new layers.
Absolutely.
Every time I think I've arrived, I'm scraping the bottom. There's just a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And have you found, Nicole, that it kind of shifts in terms of your willingness to embrace those new pieces that come up? I always think of that song, Disturbed recently redid it, Hello Darkness, My Old Friend.
Yes.
Have you found that you've kind of gotten to the point where when it pops up, it doesn't scare the bejesus out of you anymore? It's more familiar. You know what to do with it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Depression has been something that has been part of my life on and off. And even now to this day, there continues to be periods where I'm just feeling off. And where before maybe it would have scared me or frustrated me, now I just kind of think of it as waves. Like this is just another wave. It's going to roll in, we're going to work with it, and it will leave again, and the sun comes out. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's a huge message that we as coaches, but also other people, we need to be conveying that message to more and more and more people, because how many people are choosing to end their earthly existence because they hit one of those points and feel like they can't weather that storm?
Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I've been pretty forthcoming that has been part of my journey most of my life. I have a very good handle on it, but stuff pops up and we
Right.
work with it And yeah, the darkness is not as scary as it used to be. It's more of a, dusk.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
here comes dusk.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your kick-ass life. What are you doing now? How do you work with people?
Okay, so I work with women and I work with them from all over. So it could be international, it can certainly be within the country, and we do it via Skype. And I created a system that incorporates meditation and then the healing, and then the final step being the awakening part and kind of coming back to who we are, our source energy and authentic self. So that's the process I kind of take them through. And in my own personal life, I used to be so terrified of trying new things, always worrying that I'm going to make a fool of myself, or, there's that conditioned self that's like, I'm not going to put myself out there and do that.
Right.
And so last year, as part of I'm going to just dedicate this year, I just started doing things, anything I would have ever wanted to do. So I tried belly dancing,
Ooh.
which is not my thing.
But you tried it.
I tried it. That was a one and done, though. I'm not going to do that again. But in the process of trying all these different things, I found sailing. And so I came across a group and I went sailing all last summer and all this summer. And I traveled to India by myself. I met some people there, but the travel there and back I had to do on my own. And so anything that scares me, anything that makes me kind of want to hide and run backwards, that's the thing I go for.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Yep. And that so fits with my theme for the work I do, which is we're all capable of far more than we think we are. But we have to get into that position, which you've allowed yourself to be in, of, I'm going to take this risk. This is scaring me. I'm going to leap.
Yes.
So what else? Go ahead.
That's literally what I do. Like in that moment of I'm so scared, but I want to do this, but I'm so scared. I literally, I think of my little conditioned self standing next to me, grab her by the hand and say, but we're jumping.
Yep. Yep.
So let's go. Yeah.
So what's on the future bucket list?
Well, I was just thinking about that. Sailing just ended for me, and winter is long here in Wisconsin. And I do cross-country ski, but that's obviously very weather dependent.
Right.
So one of the things I have always enjoyed doing is dancing. And actually, I did ballroom dancing in Germany back when I was younger. And so I was going to look at some classes in the area for that. The other thing that I've always really loved doing and completely stopped doing as an adult is singing. I mean, I sing in my car, I sing in my car, but not where people can hear me.
Right.
So I was thinking of joining a choir and just singing and getting my voice out there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then scuba diving.
Okay.
Those are my three things that I'm going to be exploring this winter.
That is fabulous. And for those of you who are listening, I'd love to have you put in the feed, what are the things that you have on your bucket list? What are the things that you would like Nicole and I to support you in being brave and trying? Because I think it can make it a whole lot easier to click the button for I'm purchasing this, I'm doing this, I'm going here, I'm whatever, when you know that our energy's behind you. We're supporting you 100% to do that. So just list in the feed, what are the things that you would like to have support around being able to do? Cool. Mm-hmm. What about barriers or resistance, Nicole? What have you bumped into that have been kind of the linchpin pieces of I had to work my way through this piece to be able to say, yes, I'm stepping forward now?
Mm-hmm. I mean, certainly, earlier on in the process of the divorce, it was certainly the fear of hurting my ex-husband, the fear of traumatizing my children. Not only am I getting divorced, but now I'm going to be with a woman. So it was stepping beyond that and recognizing that ultimately, if I'm doing what is healthy for me and I'm taking care of myself, it will be in everybody else's best interest as well. But that was a hard journey. That was very difficult. And then after that, and something I still struggle with, I think it's like a lifetime thing, is the not trusting the universe to know better than I do.
Aha, yes. We all love doing that, don't we? okay, universe, here's what I want, and here's how I want you to deliver it. No, that's not right. Do it this way.
Yes. And so getting to the point where I can say, okay, this is what I want within the limited knowledge that I have in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And universe, you take that and you make out of it, with the bigger picture, what needs to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's actually a song, and I don't remember who the singer is. If I can Google it and find it, the singer, I'll put it in the feed too. But the song is called This or Something Better.
Yes,
And
this or something better.
It speaks to that, because we are limited in terms of, we often put a cap on what we think is possible. And when we get out of our own way, so much more is possible than what we think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it is. It's all about getting out of the way, and it's about allowing ourselves to receive what the universe is trying to give us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and how many women do we know who really are not very good at receiving? They can give,
Absolutely.
give, but they don't receive very well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's like a women's trauma. I think most of us have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's an epidemic.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think we have to conquer that. One of the things that I have talked to people about is it's very much like breathing. If giving is the exhale and receiving is the inhale, and all you're doing is what happens? You got to have both.
Wear yourself out.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Feel free to borrow it.
I will.
So tell me how you work with somebody. What kinds of tools do you use? What's your method?
Okay. Well, we get together, we come up with what the ideal life would be. What is it that they, want to live, the life that they want to live. And then from there, in each session, we do some incorporation of meditation and guidance practices, because I absolutely firmly believe that by getting quiet and learning to pay attention to our thoughts, we can create that little bit of space between our conditioned self, which is usually what our thoughts are, and our source energy, authentic self. And when we can start to separate that, then we can start doing the healing work a little bit better, because we have that distance. So then we do the healing work, and there's different holistic techniques that I use. Certainly I work with inner child issues. I do a lot of authentic conditioned self stuff, do some work around joy and connecting to that. And then ultimately, when somebody is able to connect back deep enough to their source energy, authentic self, that's where life purpose rests. And then from there, well, then you're just creating, and bringing to life your vision and your dreams. So
wonderful. Yeah. Very eloquent description. That's good. That's good. And for those of you who might be interested in working with Nicole, you're based out of De Pere, Wisconsin, correct?
I am based out of De Pere, Wisconsin. I see people in person here. And then, like I said before, Skype is a wonderful way to connect with somebody. You can have, the facial contact, and you can see body language, and yet you're sitting in the security and comfort of your own home.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So if there were one thing, one takeaway, one nugget of gold that you wanted people to get out of our discussion today, what would it be?
I think the big thing is that we stop ourselves way too often with our fear, that we bump up against that wall and we're afraid and uncomfortable, and that's where we stop. Whereas if we went beyond that fear, there's like this whole big world out there, but we have to get beyond that. And I always told my younger daughter, who had some anxiety issues when she was young, if you stop every time you get uncomfortable and scared, your world will get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Absolutely.
Versus you go beyond. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that, and I was just talking about that the other day on, I think it was on my Dr. Bonnie Delivers on Monday, that I actually had worked with a woman who was able to get to the mailbox and then couldn't leave the porch and then couldn't leave the house. And then it got smaller and smaller and smaller. So
yes,
absolutely spot on there. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for telling everybody what it is you do and how you do it, because I think it's so much easier for someone to pick a coach to work with when they know a little more about you and how you work and what your own journey to living a kick-ass life has been. So
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, this was fun. Yeah. Thanks for doing
Yes,
that.
it's not too painful, right?
Huh? Yeah.
Not too painful.
No, not at all. Not
Good,
at
good,
all.
good. All right. So
All right.
now I have a free CD to give away to somebody. So I'm going to look at my names here and I'm going to just touch one. Cheryl Williams, you are the winner of a CD. So if you want to private message me your contact information, I will mail you out the CD. And I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for joining us. It looks like we have a really good crowd this time, which is awesome. Some of them are
Yeah.
probably
Hey,
your
everybody.
listeners. Yep, some are my listeners. I can see some people. I can't see everybody. But actually, I'm going to try something here and see if it actually lets me open up the other three. Nope, I can't see who the other. We have mystery guests.
No, I can see some people that I think maybe you can't see. So, and
That
maybe
might be.
that's
That might
my,
be.
yeah.
All right,
Well,
wonderful. So I do these interviews every week. It's once a week, same bat time, same bat channel. So if you want to join me in the future, please feel free. So thank you so much for joining us with Nicole Wettemann, who was talking about her living her kick-ass life. And I hope you glean some tools that will help you to live your kick-ass life. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's Kick-Ass Coach. And remember, we're all capable of far more than we think we are.
yes, we are.
Yes. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye,
Bye.
Nicole.
Bye.